If you do not control your mind will control you. This is not a metaphor. It is a daily reality. Every impulsive reaction, every unnecessary worry, every emotional outburst is proof that the mind, left undisciplined, becomes a master instead of a tool. Stoicism exists for one central purpose: to return control to where it belongs, into your hands. The Stoics understood something that modern society often ignores. External chaos is unavoidable, but internal chaos is optional. Life will test you with loss, pressure, injustice, uncertainty, and pain. These events are not the source of your suffering. Your interpretation of them is. When the mind is untrained, it exaggerates problems, invents fears, and creates suffering long before reality demands it. Stoicism teaches that the mind must be governed like a city. Without laws, leadership, and discipline, it collapses into disorder. Thoughts run unchecked, emotions overpower reason, and impulses dictate behavior. A person in this state may appear free, but they are enslaved by anger, fear, desire, and the opinions of others. At the heart of Stoicism is the principle of control. Some things are within your control: your judgments, choices, values, and actions. Everything else is not. Most mental suffering comes from trying to control what cannot be controlled. The Stoic path begins when you stop wasting energy on the uncontrollable and focus entirely on mastering what is yours. When the mind is not controlled, it reacts automatically. Someone insults you, and anger rises instantly. A problem appears, and anxiety takes over. Something unexpected happens, and panic follows. The Stoic does not deny these initial reactions. Instead, they question them. They ask, is this thought useful? Is this emotion justified? Does this reaction align with my values? In that questioning, control is restored. Stoicism does not aim to eliminate emotion. It aims to prevent emotion from ruling behavior. Anger, fear, and desire are natural responses, but they are poor leaders. When emotions govern decisions, regret follows. The Stoic mind allows emotion to exist, but reason remains in command. One of the most powerful Stoic tools is awareness. You cannot control what you are not aware of. The Stoics trained themselves to observe their thoughts as they arose. They learned to catch destructive thinking patterns before those patterns turned into actions. This practice turns the mind from a battlefield into a training ground. Discipline is the foundation of mental control. Without discipline, intention is meaningless. Discipline means choosing the difficult but correct action over the easy but harmful one. It means resisting unnecessary pleasure, restraining destructive impulses, and acting according to reason rather than mood. Every disciplined choice strengthens the mind's authority. The Stoics believed that freedom is internal. A person who depends on comfort, praise, or approval is easily controlled by circumstances. Take away those external supports, and they collapse. The Stoic builds freedom by becoming emotionally self-sufficient. When your peace depends on your character rather than your environment, no one can manipulate you. An uncontrolled mind lives in constant fear of the future and regret of the past. Stoicism brings the mind back to the present. The present moment is the only place where action is possible. Worry about the future weakens action. Obsession with the past poisons judgment. The Stoic mind focuses on what can be done now, calmly and deliberately. Another Stoic practice is negative visualization. By imagining loss, failure, or difficulty in advance, the mind becomes less fragile. This is not pessimism, it is preparation. When you accept that discomfort and loss are part of life, they lose their power to shock you. Gratitude increases, fear decreases, and resilience grows. The Stoics also practiced voluntary discomfort. By occasionally choosing hardship, physical effort, simplicity, restraint, they trained the mind to endure discomfort without panic. This builds confidence. When real difficulty arrives, The mind recognizes it as survivable rather than catastrophic. Perspective is another essential element of control. Many problems feel overwhelming because the mind magnifies them. Stoicism teaches stepping back and seeing events from a broader view, the scale of time, history, and humanity. What feels unbearable today may be insignificant tomorrow. Perspective restores balance and prevents emotional exaggeration. An uncontrolled mind constantly seeks validation. It wants approval, attention, and recognition. Stoicism teaches independence from external opinions. Other people's judgments are outside your control and therefore should not govern your peace. When praise disappears or criticism appears, the Stoic remains steady. Control of the mind also requires responsibility. Stoicism rejects the victim mentality. You may not be responsible for what happens to you, but you are always responsible for how you respond. This belief restores power. Even in unjust or painful circumstances, the Stoic asks, "What is the most honorable response available to me?" That question alone changes everything. Reflection is a daily Stoic habit. At the end of each day, the Stoic reviews their thoughts and actions. Where did I lose control? Where did I act wisely? What can I improve tomorrow? This process turns mistakes into lessons instead of sources of shame. The Stoic mind is not passive or weak. It is calm and decisive. It does not rush into action driven by emotion, nor does it freeze in fear. It acts deliberately, guided by reason and values. This is true strength, the ability to remain composed under pressure. Modern life constantly attacks mental control. Endless distractions, emotional manipulation, outrage culture, and comparison weaken the mind. Stoicism offers resistance. It teaches you to guard your attention, choose your influences carefully, and refuse to surrender your inner order to external noise. When you do not control your mind, others will. Advertisers, opinions, social pressure, and fear will shape your behavior. Stoicism is a form of mental sovereignty. It teaches you to reclaim ownership of your thoughts and actions. This path is not easy. Controlling the mind requires consistent effort. Some days you will succeed, other days you will fail. Stoicism does not demand perfection. It demands commitment. Each day is another opportunity to strengthen discipline, awareness, and self-command. A controlled mind is not immune to pain, but it is resistant to unnecessary suffering. It does not add fear to pain, anger to frustration, or despair to difficulty. It responds to life as it is, not as it wishes it to be.